that time I was the board chair of the Korean American Family Service Center, and it was a Saturday. It was 1 month after 9/11. It was 10/11. My birthday is 10/12. And Gene had been deployed with FEMA down to Ground Zero, and he was helping with the recovery. And it was my birthday, and normally we would have, had some friends come out and, to the island, and we would be having a party, but there was just, the whole world was upside down, and I said, I'm not even going to call anybody up to come out with me, but I want to be away. I'm going to just go and be by myself for the weekend. I was looking forward to that. And I was walking out the door when the phone rang, and someone from the center had called to say, there is a little child here. His father has brought him in. We have tried to find somebody to take care of him for the weekend, because that's all the father is asking for, just some respite, for someone to just take care of him for the weekend. And we just run out of ideas, can't find anybody. What do you suggest? So basically I said, gee, I don't know. I'm so sorry, I really don't know who to suggest. And I'm going out to Long Island, so I don't think I can help you. And I hung up. And then I realized, what? And I called him right back and I said, what? Tell me, who, what? And I said, oh my gosh, really? Okay, I will be there. And I got there. I met this little sweet, darling 5-year-old boy. No English, and he was just there. And his father was there too. His father had brought him in, just asking for, please, I am at my wit's end. Somebody take him for the weekend. I will be in a better position at the end of the weekend. I will come back for him. And that was a long weekend, Columbus Day weekend. So I said, well, if he doesn't mind going away with a totally strange halmani, I will take care of him for the weekend, and I will bring him back here Monday night. Along the way out, he's strapped in the front. I didn't know about child seat laws. I had him next to me in the passenger seat. So he's got the strap almost strangling him, and he's looking out the window, and he goes, McDonald, and then he would recognize some signs like that. So when we got to the house, I thought he would like McDonald's food, So I said, what would you like? 뭐 먹을래? And he said, 좋아요. So I said, okay, 그럼 hamburger 할까? And then, 좋아요. So I said, I made hamburger. And then he just gobbled it up. And the next meal, scrambled eggs or whatever. The next meal, all Western style, So that was like Saturday night. And then by Sunday night, I felt like I wanted some kimchi. So he's playing in the back room, and I called him and I said, Michael, let's have dinner. So he comes in, and then he looks at the table, and I'm going, oh my God, he doesn't like this food. I should have made, fried chicken or something. And he goes like, 선생님, 저는요, 원래 한국 음식을 제일 좋아해요. Like that. Before I headed out back to the center, I called and said, is the father there? Is he, I'm bringing him back. And then they said, no, he hasn't come, he hasn't called. So from that point on, we never heard from him again. Somehow the Administration for Children's Services had been involved, because apparently someone had reported the father to ACS, because he had been leaving this child alone in the room that he was renting. He worked whenever he could, but the story I heard was that he had a hard time keeping a job, and so he would just keep the boy in the room and then come home at night, and they would, get together, and he would go back to work the next day. The child didn't go to school, so someone had reported him, and ACS was involved. So ACS came, and I looked at the counsel, the two ACS caseworkers came, and I said, so what are you going to do? And they said, well, we'll take care of him. Thank you very much. We'll do the best we can. And I said, well, is there a Korean social worker? And they said, no. I said, are there any Korean children in the system? No. I said, well, then how is he going to survive? And they said, well, we'll do the best we can, ma'am. And I said, you can't do that. He will just get gobbled up in the system. He'll disappear. You can't do that. We can't do that. They said, well, there's no other recourse. There is, however, a way to do this if you're willing to be his foster mother, foster parents. And until that moment, I had no idea what being a foster parent was. I thought it was like being chained forever. I said, foster parenting, I don't know anything about, I don't know how to do that. And they said, well, it's really not that bad. It is somebody who cares enough about the situation and has the means of taking care of a child. I called Gene. At that point, he was still at FEMA. And during the weekend, he had been calling whenever he got a break or something. He would call me, and I'd say, oh, now we're having pizza, or now we're playing this, we're doing this. And I had never called him because I didn't want to get him off a ladder or something. So when I called him, he said, what's up? And I said, well, Gene, I didn't know how to begin, how to put it. I said, Gene, like we have this extra room, right? And we have this extra bed, right? And he says, all right, whatever you say. So I hung up and I said, okay, so what do we do to become foster parents? And they said, well, you have to have a health test. You have to get character references. You have to show us, we have to inspect your home. You have to provide, certain certifications and your financial situation and your record, criminal, whatever history has to be all checked out. And they go, meanwhile, what happens to him? And they said, well, he'll have to stay with us until I said, you can't do that. This child does not speak any English. They said, well, the only way we could expedite this process is if you happen to be a relative. And he was like, he was giving me words, I said, yes, I am Korean, I'm his aunt. Yes. I arranged it so that I would let him go out of my hands for just a few hours. He needed to get medically checked out, processed down at ACS offices, and then they were going to bring him in, and at the time they brought him back here, we're going to meet here. They would then have a chance to inspect the apartment, and the two friends who were there were ready to sign the affidavit, a character reference, and we would kind of like blink a little bit on the medical exam and the financial until the next day. I call the doctor, we'll call the doctor and get all that done. So what would have normally taken weeks was done within like 3 hours. Two black guys, one very big, large, hefty guy, and then one tiny, skinny, scrawny, tall guy. He had a very strong African accent. And this guy was an African-American guy, this guy was African guy. And in between was Michael. He's just looking up at both. When the doorbell rang and I rushed to open it, there was this trio standing at the door. During the time that we were foster parents, it's about a year or so, there were many get-togethers with Carlos and Lucinda and their two little ones. Maya, who's now 13, was just born, was just a baby, and Gabby was a little boy. And every time we had parted after a family gathering or something, Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthday parties, and summer parties. And so Gabby would often say, don't go, Michael. don't go. Why don't you come and live with us? You know, you come and live with us. A year or so later, when the courts declared Michael's biological parents' parental rights were terminated, he was then up for adoption. Jean and I had been thinking, we cannot adopt a little 5-year-old boy at our age, you know. This is, you know, I was like getting into my 60s and Jean is into his 70s. But at that time was when Carlos and Lucinda said, we love him. We want to raise him. And it was over the phone, you know, when we were like dealing with the last events. And I said, you have 2 of your own already. Are you sure you know what you're doing? And he would come in as an older brother to the little 2 siblings. And Carlos and Lucinda both said, we know what we're doing. Please let us raise him.